Oh, I don't want to do that. Alright. First things first, we're going to walk through and self-deduce what this stuff means. And of course that doesn't work. That's okay. Okay. It says, what is the simplified form of the expression 64 to the 1/2 power? Why don't you type that in your calculator? Tell me what 64 to the half power is. You might have to put it in as 0.5. That's probably the safe bet.
Okay, how do you do that?
64 caret.
Like that? Yes, okay.
Yeah, your calculator spits out 8, right?
Yes.
So, using a radical, a square root, and 64, how else could I get 8?
64 divided by
2 cubed. Or no. Yeah, 2 cubed.
2 cubed. How about with 64?
Square root.
The square root of 64, yeah. Isn't the square root of 64 also 8?
Yes.
Yeah. What is my index of a square root? What's imaginary there? 2. You see any common things with 64 to the 1/2 power and the square root of 64? Yeah, maybe. If I have 64 to the 1/2 power, what this means, this bottom number is your index in your radical. Okay? And the top number is what power you're taking your radicand to. So I could write 64 to the first power, right? That's still 64. And then square root it. That's exactly what 64 to the 1/2 power means. Okay? Does that kind of make sense? So what if I said 8 to the 1/3 power? How could I rewrite that?
The third root of 8.
The third root of 8, yeah. That's the exact same thing. Okay, what is the third root of 8? 2. Okay. That is what this little fancy box says. It says the nth root of A is a real number and m is an integer. Then if I have 1 over n becomes my index, A is my radicand. If I have a fraction, my m is my power, and I'm taking my radicand, my inside 2. Okay. So let's practice this a little bit. How would I rewrite 625 to the 1/4 power? Square root 625. What is the 4th root of 625?
56.25.
Say what?
I think I get it. Oh, never mind.
Use them helpful blue sheets. What's the 4th root of 625?
5.
5. Done. Questions how we got 5 out of all of that? Okay, remind me, when our base is the same, what do I do with exponents? Add. Okay, so my base stays the same, and I have a 1/2 plus a 1/2. What's a 1/2 plus a 1/2? What is 12 to the first power? 12. It's a lot simpler than writing 12 to the 1/2 times 12 to the 1/2, isn't it? Okay. What if our exponent is the same, but our bases are different? Yeah, multiply my bases. So this becomes 12 times 18 to the exponent that they have in common. You said 12, 18 what?
216.
216, so I have 216 to the 1/3 power. How did we say we can rewrite 1/3? The third root of 216,
6.
which is what?
6.
6. Questions on those?
You know, like come around as a whole number.
In the beginning. As we go through, probably not. That's our goal, though. Let's take the number. Other questions? Okay. This says to write each expression in radical form. That means using a radical. I don't know if you can tell. I think it's really hard to tell. But this says x to the point 2, not just x squared. I don't know if you can tell that in your notes. But that says x to the point 2. Okay. I don't know how to work with decimals. I like fractions. So how can I turn 0.2 into a fraction? 1/5. Very good. So this is the same as x to the 1/5. True or false? True. Now, I want to write it in radical form, so I want to use my radical, my root. How would I write x to the 1/5 as a radical? 5th root of x. Very good. And we're done. What about a to the 2.5? How can I write that? I don't like decimals, so I can write it as a fraction.
5/2.
A to the 5/2. This one's a little bit different. We said the bottom becomes my what? My index. Okay, so I'm going to bring my 2 out. A is my radicand. And then the 5th is still my power. It's just inside. Okay? So my bottom number, my fraction, my denominator, comes out as my index. Technically, you don't need the 2 there because it's the square root. My base becomes my radicand, and the power stays. So all you're doing is bringing that bottom out as an index. Okay, questions here?
Why wouldn't you like simplify it?
Ooh, yeah, like pull something out?
Yeah.
We can do that. So, what can I pull out?
4.
I could pull out 4. When I pull it out, it becomes 2. So I can make this a squared square root a. You are totally right, my friend. Yeah.
You can leave it the first way that you did, correct?
Because all we're worried about is the radical form. If it said like simplified to not here is radical form, but, like simplified radical form, then I would expect that. Okay. Other questions with B? Good point. Okay, remind me. This says, you can tell, right? -5/8. What do I do with negative exponents? How do I compose them? Do I leave them upstairs? Leave them in my numerator? No, where do they go? Denominator, the downstairs, okay? So I put a 1 over, and then I can just make my 5/8 positive because I put it downstairs in the denominator. Okay. Now let's deal with the 5/8. I want in radical form. What is my index going to be? 8. I still have my 1 on top, and I got the 8th root of what goes inside? W to the 5th. Good. Can I pull anything out of there? No, 5 is less than 8. So we are done there. Okay. Questions? Okay, going the other way, I want them in exponent form. So I'm going to turn my radical into exponent. First one,
W 2/3.
W 2/3. My index becomes my denominator. of my exponent, w to the 2/3 power. Okay, B is a little bit tricky. Question, what is to the 3rd power? What's cubed? Just B. A is not cubed, right?
Right.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put in parentheses what's my radicand, the inside stuff, okay? So we're going to put that in parentheses, and then I'm going to tack on my my power, my exponent, okay? And what do I have as my index? 2, so this is going to become 1/2. Okay, are we okay with that step? Okay, then distribute probably isn't the right word, but that's how I think of it. I kind of think of distributing this exponent to A and B. So that A would have a power of 1/2, and what would B have a power of? 1.5 or 3/2. Right, 3 times 1/2 is just 3/2. Questions there? Yeah, we got. Okay. C looks a little bit different. It already has this in parentheses, so let's go ahead and write it again. I'm to the 8th power, and what is my denominator of my fraction going to be? 4, because that's my index. Okay, let's simplify our power first. 2. Leave my parentheses. I got 6ab. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay. Now if I distribute my exponent, what does the 6 become? 36. What does my a become? A squared, and my b? B squared. Okay. Questions on going from radical form to exponent form to radical form? Anything with simplifying exponents? Feeling okay so far? Okay. Alright, don't worry about that first problem. Okay, this little table talks about our exponent rules. Feel like we are familiar with most of them. If my base is the same, we talked about adding exponents. If we have a power to a power, we multiply. If I have multiplied bases to the same power, I can separate them by taking the base to the power times the base to the power. That's the same thing. If I have a negative exponent, I bring it downstairs and it becomes positive. If I have the same base, different exponents, and I'm dividing, I subtract my exponents. And same thing here, if I'm dividing, same exponent, I can break it down into base exponent divided by base exponent. Feel like we saw those algebra 1 maybe? Exponents? No? Feel like maybe. The only one we're missing that I want to write in here is a to the m over n power. I'll erase that. That doesn't look very good. And what that becomes, n is our index to the radical of a to the m power. That's kind of what we just talked about. Okay, Questions on any of our exponent rules or properties? I think they kind of should look familiar. Okay. Big thing, when we multiplied, divided before, added, subtracted, we talked about our index needs to be the same, right? Well, using fractions as exponents helps us do whatever without having the same index. Okay, so you notice that what's my first index with the square root of 3? What's the first index there? 2, and what's the second index? 4. Before I wouldn't be able to multiply that. But if I change it from radical to my fraction, my exponent, I will be able to multiply them. Okay? So let's change square root of 3 into base 3 with an exponent. What would my exponent be? If I have the square root of 3. 2. Close. 1 over 2. Half. Okay. What is my exponent with the fourth root of 3? 1 over 4. The 1 again comes from the fact that each of these 3's has a power of 1. That is where the 1 comes from. So if there's nothing there, it's a 1. Okay, using our rules from above, I have the same base. Excuse me, what do I do with exponents? If I have the same base and I'm multiplying, what do I do with exponents? Add. So I have 3 to the half plus a fourth. That's the exact same thing. If I simplify a half and a fourth, what do I get?
3/4.
3/4. Okay. Now that we've been able to multiply, we're going to turn it back into a radical. Okay. What does 3 to the 3/4 become when it's a radical?
27. Okay.
Hold on. Break it down further. No, you're fine. Break it down further. Yeah, 4th root of 3 cubed. My 4 comes out as my exponent. The 3 to the 3rd stays inside. Now, Cade, what do I get on the inside when I simplify? 27. 3 cubed is 27, and what is the 4th root of 27? Is it nice? I don't think so. No? Can I pull anything out? Can't break 27 now? No. We are done. Okay. Change our radicals so that we can multiply or divide. And then simplify from there. A lot of times we go back to our radical form. Especially when you have fraction form for your answer, go back to radical because then it looks simpler. Okay. Okay. B. What does my numerator become if I change it from radical form to exponent form? Why what? 3. Yep, 3 over 9. Good. Okay. What's the bottom become? Y to the 9th over 3. That's a 9. Okay, well let's simplify. What is 3 divided by 9? 1/3. So I got y to the 1/3. What do I get on bottom?
3.
Y to the 3rd. Yep. What's nice about my fraction is that there's no square root, so we don't have to rationalize. Yay! Isn't that exciting? Let's fix our top though. I don't want to leave it as 1/3. What should I change it into? Yeah, I got you. Third order y, and then leave your bottom. Questions on B? Okay, last one. C, let's change our radical to an exponent. What would my exponent become on top? X to the third over what? 2. My index on the square root is 2. And my denominator, what do I get? X to the 2/3. Good. When we divide and have the same base, different exponents, what do I do with my exponents? Subtract. So what do I get here? What is 3 halves minus 2/3? Brave soul. 5/6. If I wanted to turn it back into radical form, what would that look like?
A lot of work.
A lot of work. Can I pull anything out of x to the 5th, 6th root? No. Either one of these would work. I always go here to check to make sure if I can pull anything out. Okay. Questions? Where does the 6 come from? This 5/6, 6 on the denominator always pulls out to be your R index. Okay, and we got this 5/6 because 3 halves minus 2/3 is 5/6. Does that kind of make sense? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, so where, like, do you get from 3 halves minus 2/3 to 5/6? If I subtract this, I get 5/6. And then your denominator always pulls out to be your index. And then you leave your base to the numerator. Leave that as your right hand. Yeah, that's wrong.
Are we done? Well, can I go to the bathroom?